Okay, right now we are looking for the cafeteria. This is my new friend. His name is Korrigan. Yeah.
High school is like one of the most emotional times of our lives, so you need people that are there to look out for you. And also because once you get out of high school and you're on to college or just the real world, whatever you're doing, you're not going to have your parents, you're not going to have childhood friends that are just going to be there to look out for you. So you have to already have those ways of how to make friendships and bonds in your mind before you go off and are alone and have to figure it out later.
If you could tell Korrigan from 5th grade something, what would you tell Korrigan from 5th grade?
I'd tell him to make sure he knows what he's getting into because sometimes I would just think I was good and then not give effort into things that I would do. And so I think if I had told myself to just or also not to procrastinate, because I don't do it now, but I used to be a terrible procrastinator.
Okay, what are you listening to right now? What is on your playlist?
I listen to a lot of rock, but also chill music. My favorite bands are Royal Blood, Cage the Elephant. But also, when I'm running, I find it might sound weird, but metal, it gives you a sort of adrenaline that makes you happy, and it's just something, it's like there's someone yelling in your face, pushing you to keep going. And so I find that, I listen to those things a lot.
I couldn't do the metal thing. I couldn't do it. I hate being yelled at, and I hate being told what to do. So I'm a complete I couldn't listen. I couldn't do it. And would you ever consider going into music, or I don't know, maybe my parents always have stories of my dad is always like, oh yeah, in high school I was in a band or something like that. Do you think that you would ever form a band or anything?
I play guitar, so I've always kind of wanted to join a band. I'm pretty shy. I don't even play in front of my parents. I only play in front of a few people. And so I'm working on that, getting less shy and more confident with my skills. But I have wanted to join a band. I don't want to make it a career or anything. I just I think it would be a good idea to do something to just get closer with people and just say you did this. I think that would be cool.
You think you're so stories to tell your kids
yeah, or
just when I was your age I was in a band.
Mm-hmm. Or even for college essays and stuff like that. Just saying that you're in a band and you have some idea of what the real world is going to experience, going to shows and stuff like that. I think that's something very important. That's something anyone can learn from.
And shows, have you ever seen a band live? Have gone to a concert or anything?
No, I've never gone to a concert.
Oh, I love concerts. They're great. And I mean, we can't go to any now, but where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Hopefully out of college.
We're 16. Hopefully 10 years from now we'll be 26.
Yeah. Well, hopefully close to out of college or getting my PhD, working on my PhD. Hopefully at a cool internship or something. Somewhere like SpaceX. That would be really cool. And
a lot of, not just you, but a lot of people that I talk to, there's always two ways that the 5-year, 10-year question works. So when I asked one of my closest friends, Gavin, yesterday, one of the things he mentioned was he hopes he's married by the time he's 26. And to me, the idea of being married by 26 is a little I don't know about that. But on the personal side, where do you see yourself personally? Because we talked about a lot of sort of career and academically where you see yourself. But where do you see yourself personally? Do you think that by 26 you'll be in a relationship? Do you think you'll, who knows, have a kid by then? Where do you put yourself in the scale of life, or do you just kind of take it as it goes?
I never really it's probably a bad habit, but I never really think about the personal stuff when I'm thinking about the future. But, I mean, yeah, I hope to be married by 26. I mean, I want to have kids sort of early so that way I can still be young when they're my age. But I also want to have them late so I have time to just enjoy life without a single stress but what's going on in my world.
That's why you have kids with an age gap. That's why you, like...
Yeah.
I have a friend who her parents had their first children, her two brothers in their 20s, and then they didn't have her until they were like 50.
Yeah.
So there's like a big like gap in their ages, and she grew up as sort of an only child even though she had older brothers.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is with me. Like, I was an only child until I was like 13 or 14, and then we adopted a kid. But the same summer that we adopted a kid, well, he's actually related to us. He's like a cousin, but we adopted him from his parents, and so we adopted him. But the same summer my parents also had a kid. So I was 10 years older than my adopted brother, and 14 years older than my baby brother. So it's kind of like reverse of the situation we talked about. But yeah, so yeah. I think I'd like that, but I also, when I was little, I hated being an only child, because, like, if my friends weren't out to play or things like that, then I had no one but my parents.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks as a kid to be lonely, but then I've noticed, now that I'm older, I like being alone sometimes.
Yeah.
I really would be fine with my siblings, but, so yeah, I think I still don't even know if I want kids, but I think I'll know by the time I'm 26, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll have someone there that can just make the decision for me. I don't know.
Yeah, and so the guy that I was talking to yesterday, Gavin, he grew up an only child, and he still has no siblings, and he talked about how because he wished he had another sibling because his parents put so much focus on him, and he's their sole focus, that it's kind of hard being an only child. But he also says that he's sort of happy being an only child because he really loves being spoiled, one, and two, he loves the fact that he can have all this time to himself, and it's very reflective for him. So I think it's dependent on the person you are, being an only child. Like, I know for a fact that I wish I was an only child sometimes, but for the most part, whenever my sister, like, will get in trouble for something, and my parents don't pay attention to me, I'm like, this is why my parents had this is why I have a sibling. How do you want people to describe you? Like, when people think of Korrigan, what do you want them to think about Korrigan?
I hope they think I'm, like, nice, and, like, I seem genuine. Because, like, I always, like, kind of guess at what people are like as soon as I meet them. I don't judge them or anything, but I'm just like, I wonder, they're probably an only child or stuff like that, and I just kind of pick up stuff based upon, like, what they do and say. So I hope people think I'm, like, kind and genuine and, like, I guess someone that they wouldn't mind talking to again or, like, spending a day with or something.
What did you think about me the first time you met me? Loud, annoying.
Cool. No, at first I was just like, whoa, where'd she come from? Because, like, we got off the bus and we started talking at the college, and, like, I was just like, okay, this is gonna be cool. I have a new friend. And then, like, as the day progressed, we got to know each other. It was pretty cool. Overall, thought you were a very interesting, different person.
Well, because, okay, here's the thing. I'm normally, like, a very, like, shy, anxious person, and I was like, I know no one here, and I was like, if I don't talk to at least one person here, I'm gonna spend the whole day awkwardly recording, and I'm gonna feel so, like, anxious. So I was like, if I get someone in on it with me, then I won't feel so awkward recording. So I was like, I couldn't find anyone that I knew, and I was like, that kid, I know that kid. Because I remember that you had, like, the most community service hours of our class, and I was like, okay. I was like, hey, you're that one kid.
Yeah.
And I don't think I even asked you your name until we got back on the bus.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't think I knew your name until we were on the bus ride home. I was like, What's your name again? Like, when you gave me your phone number, I was like, oh, okay, Korrigan. I feel like I should have known that. What are 3 words you would use to describe yourself?
This is hard. Like, weird, probably. Like, people see me one way, and then it turns out I'm just, like, this complete, like, nerd who likes math and stuff like that. I like to think I'm smart, and I like to think that people think I'm smart. And then probably say, like, really, I'm really nice. Like, I never say anything mean to people. I don't talk about people.
Oof, can't relate. One of the things that I mentioned about this whole series is that it's sort of a two-way venture. So it's a very personal thing where I wanted to get to know the people that I have spoken to, or that I believe that are my friends, a little bit better. But I also wanted to sort of do a school project. So this is sort of that. And one of the things that I noticed is that when talking about school, a lot of people talk about school in a sort of negative manner, where they know that it's a necessary thing, but for them at least, it's sort of they wish that they could solely pursue the things that they loved. So whether it be focusing solely on the arts or solely focusing on a specific sport or something like that. And a lot of people that I've talked to are also sort of scared to solely put themselves into their crafts. So when I talked to Gavin yesterday, he said he would love to play soccer professionally, but he knew it wasn't going to happen, or it scared him that it wasn't going to happen. So he was focusing more on becoming an orthodontist or something. So do you think that you feel that same sort of thing where school kind of feels like you have to do school, but if you could solely focus on, science or something like that, that's what you would focus on, or math?
Weirdly enough, I don't. I feel like if I really want to get better at everything, like you've told me how history influences everything.
Yeah.
Things like that. So if I really want to get better at math and science, if I want to get better as just a person and smarter overall, then I feel the best way to do that is to just learn everything I can. Now, with that being said, I do try and make sure that I can take like as much of the stuff that I like math and science. I try to make sure I can take more of that and keep things like history and like writing classes to a minimum.
Oh, that hurt. Oh.
I still take them. Yeah, I know, but I still take them. Like, I try not to focus too much, because then I'm just gonna like forget and not be as good and fluid and things that I should be.
And do you feel that sort of stress over school? Like, do you feel like school sort of sometimes takes over your whole life?
Honestly, no. Like, I've never really... People have asked me that before, and I've never really felt like a point where it's just all I'm doing is studying or, doing homework or things like that. Like, I always make sure I have time to just chill. And I've learned the best way to do that is, one, I don't procrastinate.
Dang. No, not me. Haha. Master procrastinator over here. I literally am procrastinating doing my homework by doing this. So, I think that's the thing, though, is, like, for me, like, I never procrastinate with a thing that, so, like, I know a lot of people procrastinate just by scrolling through Instagram or just scrolling through social media. But for me, when I procrastinate, I will do something else. So, if I have to study for a test, I'm, like, reorganizing my room, or I'm cleaning out the kitchen or something like that, or I'm procrastinating doing my homework right now by interviewing you and then scheduling other interviews. So for me, when I don't want to do something, I try to make myself more productive by focusing the energy into something else. So one last question for you. This is just something that I'm very curious about. what are your thoughts on social media and sort of our generation is like kind of called the social media generation. So what do you think about that idea that we're also wrapped up in Instagram or TikTok or whatever? What do you think about that?
I think it's pretty true, to be honest. Like, and like from the point of view that like we're pretty concerned with that, and it affects a lot of people like mentally. I think that aspect is true, that we are very consumed by it, but at the same time, like it improves everything. Like people, I don't think that it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing in too much concentration, but like when we're just using it to express our ideas and like socialize, I don't think that's bad at all. I think it's good that we're finally the generation that's finding ways to connect with everyone, no matter what culture they're in, who they are, who they're from. Like, I think we are doing the best in that aspect because we're just finding ways to better ourselves. It's kind of like how you procrastinate by doing other productive things. It's like we're not focusing on what we should be, or we're getting too concerned with social media, but at the same time, we're forming bonds. We're getting to know stuff that we didn't know before just by reading a post or watching a video. So I think it's good and bad, but it's more good than it is bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah. When I talk to everyone that I've talked to so far, they've said that they feel it's sort of give and take. What you put into it, you get out. So a lot of them, especially girls that I've talked to, have said that it's a different thing for girls than it is for guys. So for girls, it's mainly seeing bodies that aren't like yours and stuff like that. And one of the people that I've talked to mentioned that for them, it's about following people who they want to see. So if you feel subconsciously that seeing a skinny, perfect model every day is not going to make you happy, then don't follow them.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with the sentiment that it's sort of it's more good than bad, and it's a give and take.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for doing this. I don't know, I've mentioned this every single time I've interviewed someone, but I'm always really surprised when people like want to do this